agent-based AI begins. Like we're going to basically over the next 3 to 6 months be in a period of time where it's the most expensive AI, agent-based AI period. Right now, you have groups of people that are just contributing data, dripping data in, and we're trying to get these like pristine, pure data pools so that we can have the best data to take our answers in AI from. Eventually, agent-based AI, not Agent 1. Like Agent 1's going to start to tip the scales, but Agent 2. Agent 2 is going to be able to synthetically create data.
I originally from Mumbai, India. Love my country. But I did my undergrad in civil engineering, moved here late 2020. Did my master's in construction management at Purdue, worked with Gilbane as an internship, moved to Atlanta to work with Skanska, finished up a $350 million job right in downtown, working on another $1 million job, which is a transit project. But mostly focused on project management, project control side of things. Also have a love for tech and data. Also run a podcast, and this is going to be super fun because I have a lot of questions for you guys, and we're going to nerd out on a lot of different things. So excited for this.
We could ask questions too today.
All right. I didn't know. All right, we're going both ways. This is going to be fun. All right,
shoot
sweet.
from the hip.
Yeah, shoot from the hip. This is going to be great. So yeah, man, we were having a ton of tech conversations, even before we started up the show and stuff too. So like, what's your technology background? Like at Skanska, like what sorts of things are you working on, or what have you worked on in the past?
So without naming names, obviously a lot of the tech stack that we usually use for project management side of things, logistic side of things, that's what I've used. But in terms of like contributions to tech conversations, so we have our emerging tech group. So that's what I'm plugged into. So we discuss. So we have a pretty good, solid learning network at Skanska. So we get to know pretty much how different teams are using tech on their jobs and how we can implement it on our local office networks. And that actually introduces you to a lot of different vendors as well on, okay, some project might use this tech this way, but does it really apply to your project? And I think those case studies really help you in different phases of project. And we also have a solid concierge network where we review vendors, see what the company-wide needs are for specific tasks. So there might be multiple set of projects which are, say, facing issues with supply chain. So we reach out to vendors, or vendors reach out to us related to those specific phase or specific solution, and we try to evaluate those. So those are some of the conversations which I'm plugged into. But I feel like the knowledge network, and apart from tech, it's also for data, it's also for scheduling, project controls, everything. And those case studies are actually super helpful.
So looking at a lot of different things, kind of knowing the technology space, what would you say is, this would be a bit of a more hard-hitting question here. What would you say the biggest problem in Contech is right now?
I'll
put you on the spot here.
No, I think it's good that there's a lot of technology coming out. I think that's the best part. Everyone says construction is slow to adopt technology. I feel that is true in certain sense, but not 100% true. I just feel that for a particular technology to be successful in a construction domain takes a lot more time compared to what a typical SaaS solution would do in a consumer tech space. I think that's the difference. Even for a pilot to be successful, it might take 6 months to a year to actually have quantifiable results. So would I call it is slow to adopt technology? No. Does it take time for you to generate quantifiable results? Yes. So I think that's where I would leave at right now. But in terms of issues that you see, I feel, and again, this is not generalizing. Obviously, there's a lot of great contact products that we use. But I think we already talked about the feedback loop that's missing right now. It's like you are building a tool which sounds good on the paper. The feature sounds great on paper, but is it hitting with the people on projects?
Yeah.
I think there's some loss of information on what is expected and what is provided. And I feel like there's always this quote, right? Consumers don't know what they want.
Yeah.
I feel like how true is it really in construction? Because construction is such a field where the experience actually matters compared to like if you compare it with a proper coding field. Everything is getting updated daily, pretty much with AI.
Yeah.
So you have to keep up with it. So your experience does count in the computer space as well, but a 60-year-old computer engineer and a 30-year-old computer engineer won't really have much difference. Again, like just
the gap's closing.
Yeah, the gap's closing. But
in
in construction, that is not the case. A 60-year-old field super would have immense wealth and knowledge compared to a 25, 30-year-old assistant super. So I feel like there is a lot of information that could be gathered from the field professionals, which is, I guess, missing out in today's context, providers providing solutions.
It's interesting watching people try to pick the right solutions and get those actually deployed in their company. So what you're doing in Skanska is helping with the picking, right? You're exploring, trying to identify tools and try to identify the right situations so those get properly matched. So I think a lot of companies probably would have a shared complaint of the software company said this was going to work great, but now I've got it implemented and it doesn't so much. You seem like you're trying to, on a professional level, answer those questions before you make a mistake and try to deploy the wrong software for the wrong scenario. So what kind of things are you exploring? Like what kind of things do you look at to think critically about deploying a software before you introduce it to like a team of 100 and realize, oh, that was a mistake?
So personally, for me, I think just speaking from my experience and from what I have done and not company-wide, so I get to talk with like a lot of contact founders in general because of the podcast and everything. And I obviously book some slots just to see what they're building, what they're doing. I feel like in terms of reviewing what works, everyone, I think there's this notion that if I have a solution, it might apply to all different projects, be it heavy civil, be it a vertical construction. But I feel that's not the case. Some solutions are very project focused as well, is what I've realized lately. And also the value that they bring in different phases decide if I go with that software or not. So to give an example, if I have a demolition project, right? Would I need a supply chain software? That product has value. It can solve issues, but it's a demolition project. So do I really need that on my job?
I'm not bringing anything to site.
Yeah. So it's like, those are kind of it sounds so simple, but then I feel like those are some things that you also have to understand before start paying for these monthly subscriptions, right? And that's my other rant about...
Rant, do it.
about like the fee structure for this. And again, from the outside, I'm just speaking from what I've seen. And I know Tyler already talked about it on the last call.
Yes.
But it's like some of the pricing models are based on, okay, if your value of the project is certain dollars, you pay X amount of the fee for this solution. My argument to that is, how does your value change of your services as a SaaS platform if it's a $50 million job or if it's a $100 million job? The service still remains the same. The duration changes, which is fine, and you can have your monthly subscription cost. So I feel like I'm more inclined towards the monthly subscription cost rather than project-based cost.
Yeah.
If you would judge it, again, you can have different variations on standard versions or pro versions with some features here and there, how we have with the AI models and everything. Yeah. But I feel like the project-based calculation just doesn't fit with me. And maybe there's some technical aspect to it with cloud storage and whatnot, which I'm not aware of. But from the outside, I think that's what I feel.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hearing.
Curious to know what's your take.
I'm just hearing that a lot, and I know we talked about that, and there's a lot of complaints about that sort of pricing model right now. I don't know the exact fix to it because, I mean, I can understand okay, if you're doing $100 million project versus $1 billion project, your usage will go up, and cloud storage and all of the different elements of that, it is more expensive for you. But is it really that much more expensive? I mean, is it a couple $100,000 more expensive for you to operate this thing, or is this just a opportunity to more of a value charge?
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, I can't fault for people for being capitalists. By all means, I can't fault you for that. But there's a lot of pushback happening on it right now, because I don't know if it really happens as much in other industries. I guess it could at an enterprise level, but you don't really see that much with some of the other tools that are out there in the space. Just generally speaking, like an Asana or a Monday or something you do and you don't. So
I love that we're having this cryptic conversation about an industry, $1 billion industry giant that has a specific fee structure.
That may be
orange. We are talking about directly right now.
We're doing it very broad.
I'm we're not talking about a specific company, but we're
talking about a specific
company right now. Jeez.
Yeah, I think everybody knows.
Well, it's interesting. If I
everybody
get
knows. It's
$1
hilarious.
billion project, I get a $500 million project. Okay, cool. The technical aspects of those two projects might be very different.
Yeah, right.
Or my usership of the actual software platform might be very different.
Yes.
I might use the heck out of that software platform and I put everything on it.
Yes.
Right.
So everybody is full adoption in the PMIS and all of the information goes there.
Yeah.
Then the next one though, it's twice the value in dollars.
Right.
But not everybody's bought in. Mm-hmm. Not as much information going on the cloud, not as much usage, not as much taxing. So just because the monetary value is different doesn't mean that the usage necessarily goes up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That could mean those two projects could have the exact same usage footprint on the cloud. Could have the exact same usage footprint. And I mean, it's
and one of them is double the size. And
software, am I really taxing the software?
Really?
It's not it's wearing out. I'm not wearing out gears and cogs.
Well, I mean, there's a case for that.
Mechanically work on it.
On the AI side of things, right? The token system that's built into it. We're seeing that a lot where it's if you're taxing the system, you're going to start paying for it because there is monetary cost associated with using AI, GPU power, all of that. I can see that end of it. However, when it comes to a project management system like this, it's kind of space on a server.
We're not going to say the name. But we're not going to say the name.
At this point, it's why would we say the name now? We've danced around it so long. I actually
like saying the name now because I want everybody that doesn't know the name to just really be who are they talking about? It should be obvious to you.
It should be very obvious. And if you don't know, then ask your senior super or your senior PM. I'm sure they could teach you.
What gigantic industry software out there charges?
Well, it's not just them though. I think it's some others too that
I thought we were going to go on the
that.
subscription rant. I mean, why do I have to have Netflix and Paramount and why do I?
I mean, that's fair. That's completely fair. Yeah. The subscription fees will stack up real fast too.
They will sneak up on you.
They will.
But depending on how you subscribe to them, you can unsubscribe to them.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too.
Yeah, but people aren't that disciplined, Eddie. They're not like
auto
you.
pay, just
right?
auto pay everything.
Yeah, just auto pay. Yeah, just auto pay everything. Dang it, that thing's been running for. It's like the gym membership, you know. It's like I want to quit the gym. I want to quit the gym. You got to go to the gym to quit the gym.
I should really quit the gym this month. I should really quit the gym. Yeah,
it's that old Friends thing, but yeah, no,
you get a face up. You don't want to be fit anymore.
Yes, yeah.
Talking about AI, I know we did a quick exercise on Replit the other day.
Did you? Okay, yeah.
I was wondering your inputs on, have you tried more tools? I know there's Lovable, which is also prompt-based AI.
Yeah.
Have you explored any?
Any more tools in Replit specifically? Since we last talked, other than Replit? Oh gosh. All right. So Replit I've used a ton. Haven't deployed anything with it yet. But the main two that I've really been using is Cursor and Claude. Those are the two that I'm pushing into a lot.
Even for debugging?
Yes, even for debugging. Now, I'll say this. So Claude is baked into Cursor. And for those of you that are listening and you're like, what the crap are these guys talking about? This is like coding platforms, all right? So we're coding apps, that sort of thing, right? So Cursor is a way to do that. It's a coding. What do you call it? Like you put your
code.
Yeah, you put your code in it and it gives you stuff. So that shows how much I know. Honestly. But yeah, Cursor has Claude built into it and you can use different models and stuff for generating your code and like tweaking it and changing things. And so I've been using that, but I've had to use the web version of Claude in order to debug some of the stuff that the embedded version of Claude does in Cursor, which is kind of hilarious. So it's like context. It has the context of previous conversations, which is almost ruining it.
Oh.
So I have to go to the web version of Claude that doesn't have context and put that in so that it's not spoiling the ask, the prompt.
Got it.
So it's been interesting though, man. Like I've played with Cursor quite a bit. I've heard of Windsurfer, I think, is another one that's it's similar to Cursor. And quite a few other things. And I've talked to Nathan Patton a lot about this too. Like we've had full discussions on like what this means for developing products in any space right now.
I've got a question.
Yes.
I mean, like I'm nerding out on all this stuff. What specifically do you mean by debugging? Like using it for debugging?
So when you have a code, obviously it won't be perfect. There might be some issues. So I guess the manual method is to actually go through the code.
Look at it.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard like there's like simple issues like instead of a comma, if you have a semicolon, so that the code would break even for that thing. Again, not a coding expert on anything by chance.
Thousands and thousands of lines of code.
Yeah.
That's a long time to figure out what the heck is going wrong. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that's essentially debugging, is making sure where your errors are and just correcting it.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's most of what Noah does, is just debugs.
Well, this whole thing of like vibe coding is like, that's a new...
people are going off about that. And I kind of have a rant here. I'm like, okay, yeah, vibe coding, whatever.
It's just a name on using these platforms to code. That's all it is. It's the name of, I put it in Claude and got code out.
Prompt to code.
It's a prompt to code. That's vibe coding.
Yes.
Now, our experience
software
is when
engineers are not very happy about vibe coders right now.
Yeah,
they're very.
When somebody can very easily do what you do,
I'll be fair. Understood. Yeah.
Like if I made a living as a translator my whole life, and
yes.
all of a sudden I can put something over on my mouth and that automatically translates it, and my livelihood is now at stake. That does upset me because now I got to reinvent.
But I feel like even before all these AI tools, right, there was still GitHub where people used to post open source coding for certain things. So if you're building a website, you need 5 features on top, you need a tab on your left. There might be blanket codes for that, which are open source, and you used to still copy paste that and refine it. So I think really it's not a whole lot of difference in that sense, but obviously the speed at which it does and the amount at which it does it insane. Like we wrote a 3-line prompt on Replit.
Yeah.
It took like 10 minutes and damn, it literally created logic into it with API key information that you could put on.
What was the prompt that you basically, it was like, I need a supply management or something like that.
Supply chain management or logistic application or platform, which would
plug into Procore, plug into Autodesk, plug into like basically like aggregate all of the stuff and give us like
from submittals and everything.
Yes.
And it had like a pretty detailed logic to everything. I was blown away by that.
Yeah, it was like, all right, so let me go through, here's all the logic. And then you want me to build it? Like, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe tweak this one thing and we're good to go.
3 lines.
And then
that's it.
3 lines. We were talking and then we came back to it and I was like, all right, Sid, here you go. Check this out. And he was like, what the crap just happened? Because it was all clickable.
Yeah.
Like the interface was there. The issue that I'm seeing within Replit for development though, is that it seems like it's a lot harder to just extract all of that information down so that you can really mess with it. So let's say you build this really cool thing and you deploy it. Now you actually have to hire maybe a developer to come in and maybe change a couple things.
Clean it up. Yeah.
Because for some reason, like Replit just isn't doing the thing that you needed it to do. So we need to get a little bit more customized and a little bit more specific. It's really hard to download that stuff and implement it back into, like Visual Studio or some element that a development team would use. To change what you need to be changed. Yeah. And so that's the reason why I've like kind of backed off of that just a little bit. Maybe for like simple apps though, stuff that you're like, I don't care. Like I just needed to do 1 or 2 things here and I need to deploy it for my team. Or, hey, I need to connect A to B to C, like for internal, internal processes, internal systems for a company, like a small company like mine. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful, because I don't need to hire a developer. I can just do it all in Replit.
And
so
even though it's like, even if you hire an outside help, you're doing like 90%. The AI is doing like 90% of the work. So yes, you can save on a few dollars on their consulting hours to clean up the code. Yeah. So it's still helpful.
Yeah. So. Well, that's the thing I'm seeing too. Like the front end engineers, like the front end coders. Oof, this is a bad time for them. Back end, I think you're still good. Like, because the UI, like making things clickable, like think about like a website, being able to click around, that's your front end. But your back end is like all of the intelligence. Like, I connect this server to this server and that to that. Like that's all of your like really detailed, like tough stuff to understand. I think those guys and gals are safe for right now.
Right now.
But I do think that the boogeyman is here and it's coming for him. But that really makes it interesting from a construction tech angle of like, okay, now we're getting to a point where it's becoming easier and easier for just a lay person like me. Like if I'm able to come up with something that works, this is a very scary time for everybody because like I don't know how to code, but I can prompt like nobody's business. And that's where I feel like there's some different things that are shaking out. It's going to be, I don't know, man, like give it 5 years. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
So Replit is essentially agent-based AI.
It's agentic,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's Nick Heim. He dropped over that like the crazy, what is it?
Dude, you got to send that to me. I'm really curious
to read
AI
this. 2027 or something.
Yeah.
It's like the path between what does it look like today?
Or like a roadmap?
Yeah, an AI roadmap.
Like the roadmap in what will we be looking at in 27? And
run that down because
and it's
Sid, you'll love this. Yeah.
Very tin hat club like stuff. It's scary and kind of like got geopolitical stuff coming in and like it's just an interesting, almost like it feels like science fiction read, but then you're also like that could happen. So what's interesting and what's probably more real about it is the advent of agent-based AI, which has begun, and they're predicting like in the next 3-6 months, you're gonna. Well,
the timelines are ready.
The timelines are insane, right?
But they can be.
I know
because this is happening so fast, and it's insane to me how many people are head in sand about it and aren't really, they hear it and they go, oh, that's scary to me. And it's like, you have no idea how quickly you're being passed by. This is like moving at an insane rate of speed. And if you're not getting on the bus, like you're really missing out right now. Agent-based AI, like the thing that they're pushing towards, and the thing that was very interesting about it was agent-based AI is beginning right now. So like OpenAI, was it OpenAI or was it Anthropic that was talking about how they're going to start releasing agents, and like the highest end agents that they're going to release are going to be like 20 grand a month.
That was chat. Yeah, that was chat. That was OpenAI. Yeah.
Okay, so 20K a month for an agent. And it's going to be specific to some task, like very robust, highly built out by OpenAI. So agent-based AI begins. Like we're going to basically over the next 3 to 6 months be in a period of time where it's the most expensive AI, agent-based AI period. But what's going to begin to happen is, much like right now you have groups of people that are just contributing data, dripping data in, and we're trying to get these like pristine, pure data pools so that we can have the best data to take our answers in AI from. Eventually, agent-based AI, not agent one, like agent one's going to start to tip the scales, but agent two, agent two is going to be able to synthetically create data.
Oh.
So what's going to happen with agent-based AI is an increased uptick in AI's ability to learn. And so from a construction standpoint, just having enough data center, having enough chips, having enough like physical resource power to do all of this.
Well, that was, so I was watching the TED Talk with Sam Altman, which it's like an hour and a half long, and it was really interesting. And it was a little bit awkward too, because there are a lot of creatives in the TED room as they're doing this speech. And, they were talking about intellectual property and different things too. But beyond that, I would recommend just go watch it a little bit. He was saying like, we need GPUs. Like, give us your GPUs. We need as many GPUs as we possibly can get our hands on. And so it's like the servers are melting right now. So yeah, there's just this massive boom. Yeah. And it's this massive like gold rush of...
That's why Taiwan Semiconductor has become such a thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, anyway, this is not a show about geopolitics.
No, it's not, but it's interesting.
It's an interesting world development right now. And it is going to be I think we're moving at a face melting pace over the next
and I think it's
12
it's crazy the pace at which we're moving. These big companies, like I think Microsoft and Google, I believe, stopped their data centers, the new builds, because the technical GPUs and the infrastructure that it needs,
it's changing so fast.
Doesn't match what's needed.
Yes.
So they've stopped like a lot of data center jobs. And I think once the GPU infrastructure increases, you need different power sources, cooling sources, and it just changes the entire construction from like a MEP standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I know of a Google site that was like the campus was basically like truncated. Like they said that's enough because of groundwater supply, right? I mean, just you don't think about how are we cooling it? How are we powering it up? What is a data center do to your personal power bill when we have so many data centers that are like basically peaking supply, right? So you've got a lot that you need in a data center, and then that's in competition with like me. So now you have people talking about legislation, like, well, a data center should pay more for their power than a person does. Why is everybody paying the same amount? Like, I mean,
I was talking with Abhi, who is the founder of Fluix, and I was kind of curious. Like, I don't know anything about data centers, so I was kind of curious to know how it works. And he mentioned that the locations on how they select the data centers depends on how much energy these states are generating. So I think you give an example of Texas, which generates more energy than it consumes. So I guess there's some transfer of energy from states as well. I don't know how that works, but apparently that's one of the things as well. And I think in terms of like cooling, he mentioned, obviously you have the air cooling and the liquid cooling, two different types. The liquid ones are slightly better because it actually goes to the bottom of the chip. Whereas the air one doesn't really do that.
It kind of crosses over the top and it just, right.
So that kind of helps out with the cooling. But again, water, liquid coolant, in different infrastructure, more need. So
well, I mean, that was the case of like, it was heating up the river, right? Is that what it was? It was like they were pulling so much water from the river back into the data center to cool it down, and it was like causing an ecological issue. Like, golly, that's a whole nother conversation of like, okay, how does this actually affect like the natural environment too? Like there's an environmental concern behind.
There's like 5,000 data centers in the US, which is the highest. I think the next highest is 10 times lesser. So around like 500.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so I've been told, so this is anecdotal, not like statistical.
Fact.
Right. Yeah. But anecdotally, I've been told that data center is going to continue to increase 5 to 10% per year. Like, so for, you got 100 data center starts worldwide, that's going to go up 10%, and that's going to go up 10%, and that's going to go up 10%. Like,
I'd argue it'd have to be more now though, because back when we heard that, and I recall that conversation. Yeah, it was 3 or 4 years ago, and that was back before.
But it's held true.
Yes, but I feel like there's almost a hockey stick that could happen right now too of growth. Because again, if AI wasn't being considered when that statement was made, or at least not to this depth, and not to this usage, because I mean, you've got half a billion people on ChatGPT every day using, like, prompting it every week.
Yeah,
that's freaking insane, dude.
At what point will this asset become regulated to some certain extent where, okay, we're having power and resource issues from the use of AI so that everybody can make a doll of themselves and post it on LinkedIn. Was it Sam Altman was talking about saying thank yous
and pleases?
It's costing us millions of dollars.
Stop saying
thank you. Just do the thing. At what point is there going to be a regulation over like who gets to use it, how much money it's going to cost? Like, we've got some important stuff that, you know, you're saying please and thank you and creating dolls, and this thing could be solving for cancer.
Yeah. Do you think with as time passes, usually the prices drop? Do you think that's going to be the case with AI, or it's going to shoot up?
I think the GPU power has to go up in order for the prices to drop, if that makes sense, right? It's like if our GPUs get faster, if our GPUs get faster and it requires less energy to get an answer from AI or whatever, I think that will result in the prices probably staying the same and not inflating. Like, I feel like the bar is kind of there, but I don't know, man. Like, jury's out. That's an assumption.
You got any commentary on DeepSeek?
I haven't tried it actually, but I heard that if you compare DeepSeek with the OpenAI models, I think what they built at that infrastructure, if you compare it with OpenAI's previous infrastructure, DeepSeek did it way faster and way accurately. But I think overall, as a model, OpenAI is probably more advanced, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't really tried it.
I know we've had a little experience internally at ABSI with it, and it's been prone to turn over old data. So we were using it to like try to spec out a computer, and the newest processors weren't even like registering. It was like, that doesn't exist. We don't even know about it yet. It's because the data was like already old.
Yeah.
And I know there was some insinuation that all they did was kind of like mine OpenAI's data anyway.
Yeah.
So they weren't actually doing anything novel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but when it came out, it was like,
There's a
oh
hype.
no,
Yeah.
it was like all of a sudden this is going to get really cheap, which
Yeah.
is kind of to the point of what we were talking about. But,
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's a little magic pill there that's like, oh, it's going to make it easy.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried Grok?
I haven't tried Grok yet.
Is
it good? Yeah.
I actually liked it.
Okay.
It's better. So I would rank Gemini at the very bottom,
Yeah.
but Gemini's deep search function is actually pretty neat.
Okay.
It prints out like a report of, obviously on your prompt and everything,
Right.
but it searches a lot of different sources.
Because it has Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So Gemini, deep search is good, but rest all probably not. Claude is actually pretty good. I like Claude as well.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, not a big fan in terms of the responses. Grok is really interesting. I've started using it like for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
The responses it generates on the latest model is actually pretty good. I think on the free model, you don't really get much tries with it.
Yeah.
Grok 3 or 3.5, whatever, but it is actually pretty neat. Give it a try.
Yeah.
We're like
give it a shot.
maxing things out as we get. I mean, like,
Yeah. No.
Paid Claude usage, like, okay, that's maxed. And you're shut down.
Get
until
another
4
account.
or whatever. They're pretty picky about that. Like,
Really?
trying to just come up with new email accounts and be able to flip, between. Like, if you think you're just going to set up another email, like, they're going to require a phone number, a unique phone number as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a trick, trying to get more usage out of it without like kind of working around it. Because if you get the team, like it's like a minimum of 5, and I don't know the plans. I'm talking out of my hinding for a minute. Like we bought, like we've purchased like a
well, they came out with another
ABSI subscription for Claude, right?
They came out with another license recently too. It was like $100 for Claude. Right. And it was like, it was more usage or something.
That was like individual usage.
And you're on a team.
And I'm on a team. Like as soon as we bought the team everything moves so quick. I don't know if I would recommend subscribing to something for a full year because it's probably going to change.
Don't.
So on the yearly subscription, you don't get to the most advanced model automatically?
You get the most advanced model and you get higher limits.
What if a new one releases?
You should get that.
Yeah.
That's right. You didn't buy the model, you bought access to Claude.
So like if you have a team account and you pay for that for the year and then something comes out on the individual account side like this where it's like, that's really good and I actually better and I might actually want to use the individual account versus the team account, then you're kind of hosed because you've already paid for it for the year.
Got it.
So it's better to just go month to month. So if something better comes out, you just shut that down, go over here, change up what you need to and stay flexible. But like, oh my gosh.
Thinking about it though, I mean, like for team license of about $100 a month.
Yeah.
$1,200 a year to have that at my fingertips.
Gosh, dude.
In comparison to like a single Tekla license that's going to cost me $6,500 a year.
Yeah, right.
For one.
Yes.
Oh, one user?
One user.
Wow.
For the Diamond. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that online.
Who cares?
I don't even care. But I mean, that's the subscription of that is that much money.
Yeah.
And then I've got all of, Claude AI at my fingertips.
Right.
For 5 people at $1,200 a year. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Don't hesitate.
No, not even. No, just do the thing. Especially like if you can get your people to leverage it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm lean and mean, starting up the new business and I'm having to rely on it so much. Like I, had to, part ways with my executive assistant. She was freaking awesome. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I just couldn't afford to keep that on. But then I switched over to like, all right, I'm going to challenge myself here and say, is there a way that I can replace my assistant with just by using AI? The answer is yes. And I'm kind of picky about like the bar there. Like the bar was very high because she did an amazing job. But the bar has been met. I'll say that, which is crazy to me. That's the difference between $2,400 a month and a ballin' executive assistant to $70 a month for AI. Arguably more consistent arguably better over time. It doesn't forget things.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't forget. And so I started using, like email was a big one for me, like email management. And so started deploying this software called Fixer. It's Fixer AI. And it's more like they target entrepreneurs. So it's like, yeah, it came up on my Instagram feed. I'm like, what's this? Let me give it a shot. Started using it, and basically it's got label systems that it's already, like it'll set up your Gmail account for that, and it will automatically draft responses based off of your tone from previous emails. It'll throw out times that you're available to talk with somebody. Like it drafts the reply. So all I do is I go into my inbox and I say, oh, there's something, and it drafts it out, and I can go in it and tweak and change it and say, okay, now it's good. But it's just like, I had to do that with my assistant anyway before.
Yeah.
Like it would be like, hey, here's what I was going to send. Is that still cool? We had been working together for months. And so like there was still a little bit of like a check and balance in there, just for context. But now it knows the context and it can just do the thing. And I'm like, that's one example of how it's just like reduced the cost of something. Thousands of
daily
dollars.
Tasks.
Yeah, daily tasks. Thousands of dollars have been saved by just implementing AI.
Still assert it's going to take our jobs.
I do too.
It will change. It will change the way we
It'll
work
change
and do
it.
things. It absolutely.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I keep coming back to this place of like, okay, we could be scared by it. We could be freaked out. We could be saying, oh, it's going to take my job. And you can stick your head in the sand.
I'm not scared by it.
I'm not scared either.
I think it's
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm like really excited. This is like, you know, like when the automobile came out, or like the assembly line, or like these groundbreaking things that occurred in history.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here at that right now. And I'm pretty pumped to be at a time where like one of these things is happening. And I'm like aware of it.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is like the Industrial Revolution, the printing press. I mean, how many years was it before somebody that was nowhere near Gutenberg realized my life was changed by an invention? It could have been 100 years. It could have been 200 years before they like actually saw a book in print.
Right.
A contemporary of Gutenberg probably lived their life and didn't know that invention existed. And that, for all of history, that's kind of been the case. It takes a moment for that to bleed out and get adoption. And people realize, oh, things work differently now.
Now
like,
we have communication.
The industrialization of how we produce things. It's like, oh, you know, somebody's looking over the fence. Oh, they're doing it this way. Maybe we'll try to duplicate that. And it starts to gradually get out. AI? No. No, it's like been talked about for a number of years. And now it's just like, now we're using it to completely change our processes in life.
The pedal is pinned to the floor right now. It's moving so fast.
It is. And there's concerns with that. But
I think that's an interesting thought there is like, it did take Gutenberg's, you know, machine 100 years to trickle out to the rest of society and for people to be aware of it. But now it's like something arguably more groundbreaking than the printing press has already, it's been released out into the wild, but it's taken a matter of 2 years.
Less than that. Even
like, I mean, we just saved 98 years because of like some of the other inventions that have happened and how we're able to communicate with each other quicker.
There's
move
an
fast
issue.
And break things.
Well, there is an issue that when things come out slowly, you get a moment to reform your tactics a little bit.
And now you don't have time.
And we're trying to figure it out as we go. So...
Well, use AI to form your tactics. That's probably the best, right? Like, I mean, geez.
You are a part of a group that explores new things in a company. Now, you personally explore AI, but, and I don't know if you'll be able to go into this, like what kind of attitude does this company as a whole have? And we can edit this if that's not a fair question. I'm trying to form this in a way that you'll be able to answer it without saying anything that sounds disparaging.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would be, but just like the companies are now trying to figure out what to do with this.
Yeah, no, I think Skanska in general has been very open to it, even to the fact that we've built our own internal chatbots.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got our own sidekick and kind of like a co-pilot, which is for internal use and safe to be used. And company-wide, again, coming back to the knowledge sharing part, they share use cases on, to give an example, something that comes top of my mind, schedulers. Every week, there's a schedule update. You need to give out a narrative along with what changed, what was same, what was changed, what additional things you added and whatnot. You can upload that schedule in the chat bot and it would spit out a summary, which would have taken a scheduler probably 3 hours to do it. Again, does it do to that level of satisfaction that you would want? Probably not. But again, it's pretty good. It probably save you 2 hours and 20 minutes, and you can in the next 40 minutes refine it and send it out. So
yeah. That's the element to me, is like just the time savings of some of the tasks. Back to the coding thing. Like, how long would it take somebody to manually go through and debug something, like looking for the semicolon in there that was accidentally typed on 30,000 lines of code?
That's insane.
Good luck. Like, you'd need a senior person to sit there and go through that for weeks to try to find that one little thing. And there's probably some trial and error in there too, where they tried it and they broke it and they went, crap, that wasn't it. All right, well, let me keep looking. Weeks, months of just debugging. Whereas with AI, it might take let's be generous, let's say a day to find that one error. I mean, in some cases, probably, it would take you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, we just went from 30 days to 10 minutes.
10 minutes. It does have time savings. Wow. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or for schedule, 2 hours. Yeah. Let's save you 2 hours. How much is that worth as that ripples out into your whole organization?
Yeah.
Like, for a company like Skanska, like thousands of employees across different geographies everywhere. If everybody's able to leverage that and saves them 2 hours of hassle and it streamlines everything, oh my gosh, that's a no-brainer, my brain hurts now, guys. I can't.
Curious to know, in terms of marketing, have you seen any applications? Construction marketing.
I've seen a shift. There has always been a prioritization in the marketing world of SEO. We talked about this the other day. There's been a big prioritization of, like, we got to put blogs on your website. We got to put content out there for SEO, SEO. And that has shifted completely, because I don't know if you probably know this. You search Google. If you search Google anymore, which I still do because I'm old like that, but you search Google and it's got that summary at the top, an AI summary. And so now you don't have to click any links hardly at all. Yeah. It just gives you that. And so now this mindset of SEO, people aren't going to your website anymore. Right. Which means they aren't going through your funnel like they used to. And so this SEO play that we're seeing kind of play out now, it's shifting in marketing. Another thing that I'm seeing is from the creative side. Did I show you the bubbly thing? I probably did, where it was like, I took the drink bubbly or whatever, like the can. Yeah. I was at our parents' house. I had a mango bubbly I was just sipping on, right? And I was like, I wonder what this new model will do, because everybody's talking about image generation. And I put this mango bubbly out on my parents' countertop. And I'm like, I don't know. And I just take my iPhone and go, bam, just take a quick picture of it. Wasn't anything crazy. Like, I could have taken a lot more time, but it was like, I don't care. Yeah. I just want to see what it does. I did that and I pushed it over into ChatGPT and I said, hey, can you create a new advertisement for it? I want it to be refreshing. I want it to have a solid background. And it just was like, yeah, sure, sounds good. And it created a advertisement that, no kidding, looks like something that would be hanging up in like New York City on a billboard, like in a matter of 2 minutes. I know from experience that large companies like that for a shoot, like a video shoot or a photo shoot, to incorporate something like that with a creative, it would have cost them $100,000.
Wow.
And so now creativity is being condensed down into AI as well. So you think about how you're advertising your construction company, or how, Contech is advertising their hardware specifically, maybe not software, but hardware specifically. And I'm sure there are software applications, but yeah, being able to just create an image of a laser scanner, of a total station, or of a, robot or something, just by taking a quick iPhone photo, putting it in ChatGPT and saying, create some ads for me. Yeah. This whole thing is becoming commoditized, where it's not as big of a deal. You used to have to put the creative brief together. You used to have to put all these things together, you get teams together. And it was a lot of resources and time to be able to create an advertisement. And so, from a marketing perspective, I think that there are a lot of people that are in denial over what's happening. I've seen a lot of creative directors go, well, you're not going to replace me. And like they start going, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I won't replace you, but somebody is going to, who has the knowledge of how they can leverage this, right? So it's great that you have a creative eye and that you can, make things look beautiful and seamless and all that. But there are other people out there that are not, they're changing with the time, right? They're not just relying on, well, this is how I'm creative. I use pencil and paper and I do this and I do that. They're saying, well, maybe there's a new form of creativity that's happening now. How about that's my new creative expression? And so now it's just, I don't know. It really is changing quite a bit in the marketing space.
Curious to know though, small to mid-size construction firms, do they really spend so much on marketing? I would assume no. And what do you think is the mindset shift that's needed? Because do they think of it as just a fancy thing to have rather than, hey, it's an investment?
It depends on the firm, I'll say. It's not going to be everybody, but there's some out there that are much more willing to spend money on video advertising, photography, things like that to fill their social channels up. But more and more and more, I think they're slowly starting to realize that's more of maybe more of a vanity play than anything, right?
Okay.
It makes us look good.
Not a lead generation source.
It can be if used right, but it's not really the way that they play ball, right?
Okay.
It's all about relationship building for these companies. And so for them, it's, all right, I can do this massive photo shoot and make my website look better and all of that stuff. And that could help me, I guess. But the reality of it is so much of these companies just are the word of mouth, their referrals, they're, behind the scenes at conferences or, at workshops, just developing relationships. I mean, Eddie, that's what you do. It's literally your whole pipeline is filled with people you've just built relationships with that
Yeah. Well, in some ways, I keep those relationships under a lid and don't really want to market those relationships.
Exactly.
Because,
yeah.
One, I don't want to cheapen them.
Of course.
Right.
And there's kind of a respect for, maybe they don't want me talking about that. Maybe they don't want me to, kind of cheapen the thing that way.
Yeah.
Then there's another side of it that just, I'm not looking for a bunch of new calls. We've got people that we've done business with for a long time.
Yeah.
And they call again and again.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. I talked to a drywall contractor this last week, and I was just kind of picking his brain, and it was on this front.
Yeah.
How do you get your work? Where do you see it from?
Yeah.
And he said, we have a small handful of customers that call us. And he said, I don't market. I don't do anything in that realm at all. There's not even a website. And I can think of a fabricator right now that has no website, that is actively working on very large data center projects. And there's almost a notion there, I don't think I want a website. I think the website would almost just
distract me.
Well, it could invite trouble.
Yeah, it could.
That's not an exposure I want. So I want to actually manage my exposure.
Well, that was another thing that we found even on the ABSI front is like if we showed specific buildings.
Like too many
website,
floors.
Too many too many floors.
That could be an insurance thing.
Yeah, if I showed a skyscraper on our website, our insurance company would go, well, wait, you work on skyscrapers?
Oh, additional premium.
And premium goes up like crazy. And so there's that element of it too, is like what happens if insurance is reviewing it and then it changes my fees. The other side is the safety component.
You run into that in the field.
Oh, big time, where it's like, oh no, like what happens if one of my guys is, doing the safety squint while, taking a grinder to a piece of angle, like, what am I going to do there? And I'm like, well, okay, we wouldn't show that, but not everybody knows that. So it's just
small little things.
Again, it's another liability thing. Is like, all right, well, am I going to put that out there, and am I really going to take that risk? The risk reward has not quite been equalized, and so
general contractors,
it's very difficult
within a company. Like you got probably a lot of peer PMs that are around you. Sometimes even within a company, you get a good subcontractor and the PMs don't want to talk about that subcontractors too much because if you've got somebody that's like knocking work out for you and you're like, oh, this is my secret sauce. Like, this is making me good. You kind of keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting little industry, like the way we get work, and it is super relational.
Yeah.
This isn't like, I saw a construction company while I was scrolling Instagram, and I just decided to give them a buzz and see if they wanted to build something for me.
So much so that I'm backing off the amount of content that I'm pushing out there actively on my personal side to minimize some of the lead gen that happens for our business, because I find a lot of times it's a lot of calls and a lot of window shoppers, but nobody's really pulling the trigger on. But for me, I'm looking at it going, okay, how can I go from getting 30 calls in the door and talking to people to 5 of the right calls and the right conversations and the relationship that actually is going to result in something too, because that happens in the tech space as well, Contech or even any other industry. So I think you got to be able to develop the relationships, and it's an interesting industry to market in. I'll say that, and running a video company for a couple of years has been eye opening to see kind of the hoops and the concerns but also like the ROI that's associated with doing that sort of work. What's the return on investment? Well, you might see it in 18 months. It's like,
how to quantify that?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, oh, it's going to take a long time. They're like, well, how much time? You're like, a long time. Yeah. But how much time is that? Like, I don't know. Like, it could take 24 months. I mean, for our podcast, it took about 5 years. They're like, so I'm going to have to invest in this for like 5 years before I start to see ROI on it. I'm like, yeah. Like, man, you really suck at sales. Like, I'm just honest. Like, so it's and it may be less than that too, but that's why I say it's more of like almost a vanity thing, almost a, kind of a pride thing. It's, we want to be proud about what we do.
Yeah.
If you frame it like that, that's when people are like, yeah, it's a little bit of it, like snap our suspenders. We did this really cool project. People want to show that off.
So proud
that we get to work on this thing that's amazing.
So proud to share this.
Man, this
accolade.
McDonald's is just, I was so proud of it, Yeah.
I want to embolden myself.
Oh God. Okay. All right.
To
do a photo shoot.
To go somewhere that I feel like
few have tread before.
It's no, a lot of people tread here.
Oh boy.
But
yes.
All right.
Bring it.
You mentioned earlier that you're proud of your country.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I want...
Ooh, I can see this. This will be fun.
I like this. India specifically, there is so much stranger danger around that. Specifically for steel detailing is a big one, because there are a lot of large outfits that have formed that are India-based companies, and they're providing technical solutions. I mean, let's be honest, like if you're going to tap into the American market as a company in India, very difficult to do that with physical construction you're putting in place.
Right.
But
virtual construction,
technical solutions. India has been like India, the Philippines, like there are certain countries that have become the brute force muscle, right? That is driving a lot of virtual construction. But it doesn't always have a great reputation. That's a side to it. So we're talking about LinkedIn, like just kind of the social media channels, everything. Like my MO recently has been to like, I want to bring up something that is industry related that I see that like, maybe like, let's talk about something specific that I know that like is an anchor bolt spec that's bothersome in a design or something like this. And people tend to react to it. And then you'll get people that follow, and that's all over the world. That is all over the world, and a lot from India. I see people throwing job listings out. I want a detailer. They'd be willing to take a remote detailer, but they don't want anybody from India. I'm curious, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of
how has the hop overseas been for you?
Like,
how has that happened? Yeah.
Like you did, okay, your bachelor's was in Mumbai, but then you did your master's at Purdue, you said, right? So you did something there. Like you came to Purdue and you got the degree from the University of the United States, right? Like what if you had gotten your master's in Mumbai? Like, do you think you'd have had as much luck getting placed with a company in the United States?
Like
what kind of headwind are you facing there?
So if I just compare construction industry, US to India, I think US is way ahead with everything. To the fact that US is more organized in all aspects of operations, tech, data, everything. I wouldn't call it issue, but where India is lacking is the organization and structure aspect. Is there a lot of talent? Absolutely. Are they utilized in the right manner by these organizations? Probably not. I feel like there's a lot of SOPs that are missing. And there are certain fields which are pretty good in India. So like structural engineering would probably be, a lot of people do it. But I feel like India just lags behind on the structure side of things and not the talent side of things. However, India also does construct tall skyscrapers, big infrastructure projects. And there's a few firms which are India-based, super huge. One interesting thing is a lot of US-based companies, they are also in India, but they won't do construction. They would just offer consulting services. To give an example, Turner constructs here in the US, but they would just do consulting in India. A lot of similar companies do that.
So it's a very similar transfer between the countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as I said, it personally for me, I guess if I was back home doing my master's, obviously the experience would have been different. I wouldn't undermine what I would have learned there. But I feel like if I just compare apples to apples, I'm probably ahead in terms of knowledge and the things that I've got exposure to, which I wouldn't have in India. Nonetheless, India is still picking up, and that is in all aspects. And even the construction tech industry is starting to pick up now. More people are getting aware about it. Obviously, the risk appetite is not as similar to what we have in the US or in Europe, but it's still developing. And Indian consumer market is very different compared to the US. Also, the needs are very different. In the US, you might have a platform which does entirely the same thing as its competitors, just with a better UI or UX. That thing won't last in India. They don't want better UI, UX. They want the thing to be done.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes me 5 clicks to do it. Would you do it in time and as what I want? An interesting conversation I had with Shubhankar from Fundamental. He's a general partner, investment firm. He mentioned what India needs is completely different than what the US and Europe market needs. And he gave an interesting statistics about construction tech unicorns till now. And I think he mentioned in the US, there were around 9 or 10. And out of that, I think a couple of them closed now. So I think they're left, or a couple of them got acquired as well. So I think they're all left with like 6 or 7. And in the last 10 years, India has had the same amount of unicorns, 5 or 6. So if you look at the curve, there has been no progress in the US in terms of unicorns, but in India, it has picked up to 5 or 6. And one interesting pattern from all those 5 unicorns was all of these were based off of marketplace model. Inframarket, which is one of the biggest unicorn, they're filing for IPO, I guess, in this year or next year. They supply materials. Their whole proposition is getting you materials on time, simple. No fancy tech or nothing. Obviously, they have a platform and everything, but it's not crazy fancy that we see here in the US. But it solves the problem. It solves a supply chain that is essential for the Indian market. And now I think they've also started to have materials under their own brand, like how we have it in Walmart under Great Value or Publix and whatever. So that's interesting. But the other unicorns also has a marketplace models, but in just the built environment. So like interiors, there would be some kind of marketplace interior model, like you can go on a website and maybe plan out however your design that you need. And then you can also buy materials. You can also get like vendors who could come out and do work for you. So it is picking up. The needs that both these countries have is completely different. There might be some overlap, but I think over the time, it would also probably develop faster, just like India has been in every other field. That's my 2 cents on what I feel.
I mean, follow up to that. And I mean, AI is going to do something to what I do every day because I click on a computer. That's what I do. And I anticipate AI to change that. The BIM industry at large, I mean, it's been fueled in a lot of ways by, you mentioned there's a lot of talent. There are just troves of people that have civil engineering degrees. Probably a lot more that would do steel detailing. That would do some technical aspect of construction, that would do BIM modeling. So very intelligent people, very willing to work, and the opportunity is there. Now enter AI. So that's kind of a brute force play in that I'm throwing a lot of people on the problem. AI finesses the problem by saying, I'm going to make this agentic, I'm going to bring an agent in to do what all these people could do. So I'm curious, like, I don't know if you even have any thoughts on that, but I'm curious about how it's going to reshape the industry. We've kind of theorized that we feel like a whole new modeling platform is going to come out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Something much different than Revit is going to come out. Something generative is going to come out and is going to really reshape how we put things together. How far out that is, I don't know.
No idea.
I mean, there have been
murmurings, but it remains to be seen, like whether or not that'll happen. And that's my...
Well, the beauty of Replit is you can say, give me this, and it gives you the thing. And it's it's usable. Like it's not, you're plugging less together, like it's usable right now. So if you go through OpenAI, let's say they go through Agent 1 and Agent 1 Mini, if those are new large language models, and then Agent 2, and Agent 2 is able to artificially synthesize its own data. Well, the get out of the box thing, that's a whole different topic. But, Agent 2 can just do what Replit does, only better. Then I could literally say, I want a software that works like Revit, but I want it to generatively design and redesign structures on the basis of what I tell it. but they need to adhere in every way to codes. And that needs to be architectural and engineering codes. That needs to be mechanical. You need to consider all of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it can artificially synthesize its own accurate data and just say, oh, well, then here's that piece of software. Does that happen by 2027? I mean, it seems a while away from where we're at. But then AI is progressing. If Agent 2 is like Replit, and we're able to, like, as an owner, speak of building into existence that's 100% fabricable by a steel fabricator and shop drawings ready for rebar and everything, has that changed this, the brute force, throw the talent at it solution? It's just got me thinking.
It's reshaping the industry.
It's really got me thinking about how we finesse a problem instead of brute force a problem, because we're pretty good at throwing bodies at things in the construction industry. Like when time becomes an issue, schedule becomes an issue, like we're usually like asking, well, can you supplement your crew? That's the first thing. What other crews could you bring out? Throw bodies at it. And we probably aren't asking, are there any kind of economies or efficiencies we're missing out on that we didn't think, so we could make it move faster to begin with?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's rambling, but
it's what you do.
Thoughts? It is what I do. I don't know if that strikes any chords with you or makes you like.
Yeah, no, I think definitely there will be a change in roles. I mean, it's the same with the normal computer engineering roles, right? Okay, you would have a prompt engineer hierarchy entirely that would be developed coming forward. I think Sam Altman did mention that there's going to be a specific role in most of the companies that would be prompt engineer. In the AEC, I don't know how you would finesse it, but I think there would be a shift in roles. I still feel, irrespective of how good the model becomes, human interaction would still be needed. Does that mean reduction in workforce? Probably. But does it mean it would be 100% automated? Probably not. You would still need a human interaction specifically for construction, because it comes down to safety. It's not an application which crashes, you can go downtime for half an hour and then restore. If something fails structurally, it has great implications. So I feel you just can't rely 100% on AI, irrespective of how good the model gets. There would still be a human interaction needed.
Yeah. We've been down.
We need to have this conversation in more depth, because I have thoughts. Like, I think for a while, yes, exactly that. Until we interact with the model enough that the model understands how to fix the problems again and again and again.
Yeah.
And then it can just fix the problems before they happen. And that's where I think it's like, there's going to be this training. It's kind of like this. There's this training montage that still needs to happen for the whole industry, where it's like we're all going to start using AI and we're going to train it on how we all do our jobs, and then it's just going to take their jobs.
Training montage.
Yeah, no, it's like Rocky training montage with like Sam Altman running with the robotic head. I don't know, like it's really weird, but.
Analytical software, like, you do structural analysis and something, and then it kicks out a result. Like, do you trust a 26-year-old, that's pressing the buttons and making the results come out and then making a determination and then maybe handing that over to a senior engineer for a check. A general little check? Yeah. Is that a more trustworthy process, or is a fully agentic AI based program
knows literally
that
everything.
Literally knows everything and would go,
that's stupid.
Actually, you didn't take into consideration that there's a crosswind on the building because of the geography and exposure. But I know that because I know all of the things. And I think about all of them every time, all the time. I don't miss.
Yeah. Personally, I just think we're building the Antichrist, but it's fine. We'll get there. We can get into theology some other podcast.
Not geopolitical, not theology. It's not what we do here, man. It's not what we do here. Fun, but not what we do.
Is it fun? I don't know.
Scary, fun, I don't know. Is this where we wrap up?
I think so.
How do we get out of here?
All right, Sid. Well, we've got to ask you our favorite question.
Yes, that's how we get out.
All right, so it's our megaphone question.
A megaphone question.
Megaphone question. All right, so it's very broad. All right, so if we gave you a megaphone that you can speak to the whole industry with, all right, say something that everybody can hear, what would you want to say to the whole industry?
I think, again, very cliche, but I feel like early years are dog years. So I don't want to go into the whole work-life balance thing. And obviously priorities are different for different people and it's very subjective. But I feel like early on, don't shy away from responsibilities and try to talk more and don't feel stupid about it. You're still early and you are bound to make mistakes. But again, when you're coming up with questions, don't just ask questions again and again. Like, do your research first. Like, know what you want to ask. Like, asking right questions is important. But you need to do your own little research because in that research phase, you actually might find the solution. And that preps you to a strategic thinking approach rather than just, hey, he's just besides me, let me ask. I would say that, and lessons learned. Highly recommended. I finished my previous job and, I've always heard, oh, we need to do a lessons learned. We need to do a lessons learned. I never saw one of those documents or from anyone.
Yeah.
And so I was like, when I finish this job, I want to prepare one. And since I was involved with Punch and everything towards the very end, we prepared a holistic lessons learned. I pulled in my PM at that time and the project executive, and they also shared their insights on it. So we essentially went from the pre-con phase till closeout, all lessons learned on that multimillion-dollar job. And it's a very comprehensive guide, which can be used to, bid on other jobs and just like again, lessons learned thing. One other thing is, and I personally kind of felt it a lot earlier with my podcast as well and everything, it's like, you would always feel that who would listen to me? I'm just young. Like, why do I even want to speak? Like, do I even have the right to speak? Are my opinions even matter? Like, even matter to anyone? And it was tough for me initially to come over that. And I still feel it. Like, I'm still young. Who's going to listen to me? Like, why does my opinion even matter? And I still have those days, but I felt like the more you share, the more you learn. Yeah, you might embarrass yourself, but you'll still learn. So I guess putting yourself out there, coming back to your point about construction just being a very culture network driven, you need to talk with people. And doesn't matter what their age is. Are they below your age or above your age? You'll still learn. And I think that is what I would recommend every young professional student coming out of school is like, technical stuff, you'll learn it. It's with time, you'll get that experience. You'll be thrown into situations where you'll learn, but it's all the stuff that's apart from technical. If you have to be a well-rounded person, you just can't stick with let my work speak. You also have to focus on other aspects about talking to people, soft skills, business development, learning what's out there, keeping yourself updated with what's happening in the industry. And that takes time. So I guess it's a balance between how you do it, and that might be different for different people. But yeah, just stay curious is what I would say.
I love it. Dude, thanks for driving down here.
Yeah.
This was tons
This
of
was
fun.
awesome. Yeah.
We need to, all right, so we're going to start a new podcast. I've already decided this is called the Tin Hat Club.
10 Hat
And
Club.
the Tin Hat Club, we'll put tinfoil hats on
That's
our
gotta
heads and we'll
exist. That's gotta exist.
Well, I'm going to check and I'll buy the domain if it doesn't.